after the devastation of a 96-minute equaliser? Can the U's follow up their best performance of the season with a victory against Fleetwood? A home fixture where for the first time this season we entertain a team above us in the table. Hello then, and a very warm welcome to Under the Abbey Stand. I am Jordan Warland, and yeah, this is your preview show, and joining me to preview, it's been a little while, it's Mr. Tom Walker. Happy Friday, Tom.
Yeah, happy Friday, Jord. It's
Friday.
Great to be back on a Friday. It's basically the weekend. Get prepared for it. Thursday's gone. That's behind us. That's in the rearview mirror, and we're looking forward to it.
My favourite day of the week is Friday. Tom, I introduced you as Tom Walker, but should I actually be referring to you as Kel Walker?
Yeah. Yeah, mate.
You wanted it in the running order.
Yeah,
Here it is.
I know. And you know what? I actually forgot myself about this. Oh, my God, mate. I felt incredible. Playing five-a-side Wednesday night, 2 days ago, obviously. Famously.
It's Friday. Yeah.
It's Wednesday, then there's Thursday, then there's Friday, which is today. But, yeah, I was playing five-a-side and I did a Kel Watts thigh pass back to the goalkeeper. And to be fair, we got absolutely battered. But that was a moment where I was like, do you know what? I can see why he does it. I felt so put together. I felt so controlled.
This is sensational news to start the pod with, and I have naturally a lot of questions.
Yeah, fire away, please do.
The first one, what was going through your mind? At what point were you like, this is on and I'm going to do it? What talk me through the mentality?
You know what? When you watch Super Sunday or something and you hear these conversations, you hear these interviews, they're like, so what was going through your mind at that point? It's usually like a 45-yard volley or something that's flown into the top corner. It could not be further from the truth. I didn't clock it until after I'd done it. So some might call that instinct.
Nice. You've just seen so many that it comes naturally to you.
Yeah. I had so much time as well. I could easily have brought it down, turned and maybe played out. But yeah, what went through my head at that time was, to be honest, it was safety first. Nothing to do with Kel Watts. But after it happened, I was like, fucking hell, I've just done a Kel Watts thigh pass back to goal. And I was wearing our lovely third kit as well, which is obviously great. So I really didn't have Watts 6 on the back because I'm a grown up, and that frankly is verging on something quite distasteful. But yeah, I think it did put a slight gloss over what was an otherwise disappointing performance from myself and my teammates.
My next question is, how did your goalkeeper respond?
Well, funnily enough, I've obviously speculated about this all season. He didn't know how to respond because my thigh pass back to the goalkeeper looped him and went into the top corner, as I've been saying it might do for quite a long time. No, that didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't actually an own goal. I've been saying all season that's what Kel Watts is going to do. He's just going to lob Eastwood. But
you had me worried then.
Oh no, he was very much like safety first. Well done, Tom. Let's go again. Yeah.
So it was successful. It landed, right?
It landed, yeah, big time.
Defender, goalkeeper, thigh, all in harmony. It's beautiful. My final question, how did the other team respond? That's probably the biggest question. Were they fine, or did they have a bit of a tantrum?
They were all right. Yeah, again, I didn't realise. I've got to be clear. I didn't realise until after I'd done it that I'd done it. So they didn't realise either. And they didn't go, fucking hell, has he just done a Kel Watts back pass? Bear in mind, I don't play in Cambridge. I play at Shoreditch Goals in London. And there aren't many people who are aware to it, to be honest. It is just us, I'll be honest.
But it's good that they didn't just naturally think, hang on, that is a back pass I'm going to appeal. But perhaps context is key. What was the score at the time and what was the final score?
I think it finished 10-8 or 10-7.
To the other team.
Yeah. Let's be very clear about that.
To the non-thigh passing team. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe there's something. Maybe that tells us something. At that point, they were comfortably in the lead, I'll say.
Sounds like the pass turned the tide and almost inspired an unlikely comeback. Well, yeah. Good stuff. Would love to hear you do this all season, and if anyone could get a video, that'd be great. That's the kind of content that people will pay £5 a month for. So sign up to Coconut Tier for that and that alone. Tom, you didn't go to Grimsby, obviously. Did you miss the food? There was a lot of food chat on the review pods. Did it get you hungry? Did it make you feel like you'd missed out?
There was a lot of food chat, which is always good to hear. A slight gripe of mine was that I don't recall them mentioning what they actually had.
It's a good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, come on, give me fish and chips, give me mushy peas, give me something like that. But it never came. So I've just got to take at face value that the food somewhere in Grimsby is quite good. I assume they meant in the ground. But yeah, it was good to hear. I'm glad I had a good day out because in my experience, even though I do like Blundell Park, I have to say Cleethorpes is a thoroughly miserable place, and not one that I would visit for any other reason than football. But yeah, I'm glad it brightened their day.
It sounds, Tom, like you missed out on fish and chips. What if I were to tell you there is somewhere in Cambridge that you could get a lovely portion of fish and chips and a pint, any pint of your choice, for a bargain, £15?
I'd say tell me more, George.
You all know the drill. This is our sponsor this season, our partners on the pod, the very brilliant Old Spring Pub at number 1 Ferry Path. A ton of CUFC UTAS related deals, including before every home or away game, that Matchday Meal, £15, can get you either a burger and chips, fish and chips, or everyone's favourite, the skepasti. Other deals include include a Saturday happy hour. Tripped up on my words there. That was fun. That's every Saturday 6 till 7. Half price beers for the hour. I don't know, before anyone asks, what that means for early kickoffs. I think it means you just get there early, have some extended hours in the pub, and by the time you should be going home around 6 o'clock, you stay because it's a bit cheaper. That's how I think it works. I'll ask the powers that be if that is actually it or if it's different on Saturday. But no angry messages on X if it's not early.
Yeah,
than
we've
6.
we've got to be very careful with the early kickoffs, haven't we? Because what we can't do is go promising like a 5 hour long happy hour. I'm sure they'd love the custom, but they wouldn't love giving their beer away half price for an entire afternoon. That's a dangerous thought, though, to be fair, because one of the things that we found out to our detriment a couple of times during the Great Escape year, when we had obviously the early kickoff against Posh, which we won, which was followed by a rather humongous afternoon, and obviously the game against Forest Green, which we won, which was an early kickoff, and we stayed up and we pitch invaded, which was then followed by a rather humongous afternoon. Is any game that kicks off 12:30, that's a lot of afternoon left. And if you stick at a happy hour, it's 5-6 o'clock, you're banging trouble. I'll say that.
So yeah, celebrate that partnership with the Old Spring. You'd be silly not to. Right, let's talk about all things Cambridge United then, Tomo. Almost a week on since the Grimsby results. How are you feeling about this one, man? Like, how you feeling about the result, but more importantly, the performance? Because that seems to be the big message that's come out from Saturday. How good the performance was.
Yeah, it is a big thing, I think. Because I think to be fair, even during the games that we've won, particularly at home, I'm thinking of obviously Cheltenham and Newport, you were kind of like, well, the results there, but the performance did leave you a little bit cold, a little bit just. Mm-hmm. There's got to be more to come from this. And I guess if we're sticking just plainly in terms of the result, it's a weird one, but you know, in time you'll forget about the context and you'll just look at the result in the cold light of day and you'll be like, it's a 1-1 draw away at Grimsby. And I do think that in itself is a result which will age pretty well. You know, they went and knocked out Sheffield Wednesday of the Championship. You know, the other night. I know they're not, that Sheffield Wednesday aren't maybe the team that they have been in the past, and that's obviously well documented. But they've still got to beat a Championship team. They've beaten the pre-season title favourites in MK. They've beaten Manchester United this season, and we've gone out there and by all accounts put in a shift which, you know, probably should have returned all 3 points, but for the smallest margins didn't. And I think if you look at it in that context, you basically say, well, at one end of the pitch, CUFC maybe could and perhaps should have done better on an opportunity to make the game 2-0. And then he's a little bit clumsy in our penalty area. We're probably a refined striker away from coming out with of a game against a team like Grimsby, who are expected and probably will be up and around it this season, with a really pretty well deserved and fairly routine. I think that could be. I don't know if I go that far, but a comfortable-ish 3 points and a 2-0 win. And you've got to say that on the face of that, that's a pretty good thing. And I think what's pleasing is that we have had some more difficult away games. I'm thinking particularly Swindon and Bristol Rovers, where we've gone to these grounds against teams who are in quotation marks fancied, and we're obviously that remains to be seen on how much that stands up. But we have struggled, we have looked sluggish, we have given things away cheaply, and the positive is that we've swung that round and we've gone to Grimsby and put in a performance where we should have won, and that's obviously really encouraging. What it has to be, and I guess it's probably easier to say this now that we're obviously at the end of the week than it would have been maybe at the start of the week. Is my thoughts are kind of less about the positives from the Grimsby game and more what it means for those that are coming up. I mean, that has to be a benchmark. It's simple as that. It means nothing if you go and chuck in a stinker against Fleetwood and then and obviously so on and so forth. So it's about replicating it, I think, above everything. Obviously it goes without saying, as much as I've just said, that I think this point will age pretty well. It doesn't age that well if you end up finishing like 14th, because you're just like, it's just a draw in an otherwise pretty disappointing season. Yeah. But if you can make that the standard and you can make that the regular performance, then probably you're looking at it as a point which helped towards a pretty good season, I think.
Hard agree from me, Tom. You mentioned Manchester United there. What I enjoyed is Eastwood saved a penalty at Grimsby, whereas Inanna faced 13, didn't save a single one. So I enjoyed that little tidbit from the weekend.
Yeah, I'd say that's that's small mercies given what happened with the rebound. I would say,
hey man, take the win where you can, right? Not literally, because we didn't win, but anyway, more importantly, I really liked how we controlled how Grimsby had the ball and where they had the ball. And I think one of the big things from the weekend, I can't remember the Grimsby town midfielder's name now, but he was their main threat. He's involved in a lot of their goals, and we nullified them. And and we looked good on the counter. And you touched on those difficult away games that we've had so far, Swindon and Bristol Rovers. It felt like Saturdays is perhaps the good signs that we can put a blueprint together so that when we do face those teams that are going to be challenging for the top 7, we can go to those places and not necessarily, fear those teams, and we can come away and look at those games and target getting points. So good for the outlook of the rest of the season. Definitely if we follow it up, and a big opportunity on Saturday to beat a team that are above us. Admittedly, there's not much in it. I mean, there's only a point or something like that without getting the table up in front of me. But Neil Harris spoke in the presser about the team still hurting and how there's a hunger to put it right. Are you expecting this performance to, I don't know, maybe lift us on Saturday? You touched on it a little bit earlier about how the home victories so far haven't necessarily left the sweetest taste in the mouth. I think it's fair to say we've been a little bit turgid at home recently. Could this maybe be something that, that sparks, a good run of some decent performances? Obviously, you got Tuesday night, really exciting, away trip to a Prem team as well. Like, it seems like a good time to sort of have that sort of, feel good amongst the team. Do you think this? We might see a little bounce on Saturday based on how Grimsby went, or do you think actually it will revert to type and it will just be another difficult home game where we're going to play a team that are hard to break down and are probably going to come and do pretty much what we did to Grimsby on Saturday ourselves?
I think there's quite a lot to unpack with it. I think that first, I think the challenges are totally different in terms of the two games, and I think you mentioned that there, that for obviously large spells of the game at Grimsby, in a way, it's a sort of game state, it's a sort of situation which you kind of feel does perfectly suit us down to a T, really, because one of the things that we know about Neil Harris is that he can set up a team, he can organise a team to be difficult to beat, and if you're 1-0 up away from home, that's almost the ideal scenario to kind of showcase that. And we basically did, if not for, obviously, as we say, a little bit of clumsy defending right at the end from a set play. Fleetwood is obviously a different proposition in that probably we're going to be expected to win the game. We're going to be expected to be the team where the onus really is on us to take our game to them, and that's something that we have struggled with really this season. Even again, like you go back to all the games that we've won, even like Colchester away, like maybe other than a short spell at the start of the second half in that game, I don't think we've really. Maybe the Harrogate game as well. The first half of that, I suppose you could say we sort of dominated there. We've dominated the ball a lot, but you don't think we've ever really converted that into serious chance creation. I think that's what we're going to struggle with against a team like Fleetwood. So, in a respect, like you would like the positives of the Grimsby game to drive you on, but I don't really think there's too much. You wouldn't want it to kind of mirror too much, would you? You'd want almost just like the vibes to come from it and think, yeah, we actually are a good team who can compete with the best. We need to now show that in a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something that I think it was Caspel mentioned after the Grimsby game, which I totally agreed with, was I think what we're lacking and what we need to see is a real statement win, basically. As close as we've got to that is, I suppose, Colchester away.
I was going to say Colchester, yeah.
But I think the one that was really hoping for it from was Newport, and I was really hoping for a performance and a result which made you think, all right, even though we're playing against a much lesser team really, and a team that are expected to be in and around it at the bottom end of the table, if you go and win that 3-4-0 and you really put it on them, then you're like, that's the statement. That's what we've been looking for and waiting for. So Fleetwood presents a slightly different opportunity, and I think they're actually a reasonable outfit. Pretty decent manager at this level, a lot of recognisable players in there, which obviously makes it difficult. But if you can go out there and beat them and look good while doing it, then that's the statement I think we really need now. So yeah, as much as I'm sure things that Neil Harris will look at from Grimsby and think, we'll take that and we'll use it. Don't think it necessarily directly correlates, but you've just got to use the kind of positive feeling, I think, to try and put it on Fleetwood in a slightly different way and do something that we've not really done this season, which is be able to really break down a team and consistently do that, I think.
On the topic of finding positives, you and I have ended the Matt Caspel streak. He is not on this episode of UTAS. Some people will be excited about that, but he has.
For some, that'll be real, like to have you and me, and to a lesser extent you instead of Caspel. That really will be sort of out of the frying pan into the fryer sort of stuff, I think.
Well, he has still managed to influence the running order. A lot of talk today about the fact that we are playing Fleetwood this weekend after playing Grimsby the game before. This has inspired a lot of chat about what is being called fish teams. It's been expanded to fish and crustacean teams. And there's a claim, Tom, that the last time we played back-to-back fish teams, we drew one and we won one. One of those teams was indeed Fleetwood. First question, is this a good omen for Saturday?
Yeah, I think Neil Harris will probably have this pinned up on the dressing room wall when they get ready on Saturday. It's got to be a good omen, hasn't it, George? Surely.
The other one is Charlton Athletic, which I was shocked to find out is a fish-related team. Did you look into this? Did you read into this? Basically, the origin of their nickname, the Addicts, comes from a fishmonger who, I can't remember when it was, but in a long time ago would find a way to support Charlton, but also promote his fishmonger business at the same time, and that has stuck. Do you want some more unverified data on fish teams? Apparently,
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Apparently, over the last 10 seasons, our PPG against fish teams is 1.24. It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's quite playoff form, does it?
No. We do strangely have a good record against Fleetwood, though. I think we played them a lot, obviously played them a lot in League One. I think our record's quite good. So, yeah, maybe that's some good omens going into the weekend. Moving away from fish, which is not,
why should we?
Which is not a line I thought I'd say on the pod, but here we go. And do not reply with some facts about eels, Tom. We've left that behind in League One.
That one that the one that Swindle brought onto the pod. I'm sure if you Googled it, it'd probably back him up. But I have to say, I think what Swindle said about eels on the pod was utter horseshit. And I'll die on that hill. And I'm famously a man of the eel, sort of.
The Isle of. Tom, you know a thing or two about misconduct. I want your thoughts on the fact that Cambridge United manager Neil Harris has been charged by the FA following last weekend's draw at Grimsby. It's alleged he acted in an improper manner following the final whistle. My understanding is he will be in the dugout on Saturday because I think he has until next week to respond. Sounds like a touchline ban coming if found guilty. What's your response on this? Are you like, go on, lad, for sticking up for the team, or are you in the camp of that's unprofessional, keep your head, represent the team and the culture, a word that he uses a lot, and do better behaviour wise? Where are you on this?
I'm a little bit torn, I will say. I think the thing that I like and that I could never criticise. Obviously, this is assuming that this charge is upheld. Obviously, it could be thrown out, and we might be made to look silly. But I just think back to the discussions we were having after watching us get absolutely drilled at London Road 2 years on a bounce, and a lot of that centered around the fact that we were basically weak as piss, and nobody got booked, and nobody put in a hard tackle, and nobody really seemed to sort of fight for the badge, which I know is such a cliche and a touch cringeworthy, but that was something that we lacked in those two games. And if I'm seeing that from our manager, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I can get on board with that. Someone who's really at it and really into it, for sort of want of a better phrase. But I would put it to you, George, it's slightly concerning that we're getting this rattled by dropping points at Grimsby in like mid-September. That's a bit of a concern. And what's more of a concern, obviously, is the possible ramifications of it, which obviously are a touchline ban. What I hadn't considered is that, does this mean there's a possibility that 5,000 Cambridge fans are going to make their way to West London on Tuesday night, see a famous victory, and not get the Neil Harris fist bumps after it?
Oh, hadn't thought about that, mate.
Now that's your heartbreak, right? That's your heartbreak. But yeah, I mean, look, clearly, if it does result in a touchline ban or something of that ilk, I mean, if what is being alleged is upheld and is found to or proven or however these things work, if that's the case and that's what he's being judged on, he'll be extraordinarily lucky to escape without a touchline ban, I imagine, and probably a fairly lengthy one. So, yeah, look, we'll just have to see. But I would say probably not ideal to be without your manager on the touchline, even if I don't mind him fighting for the badge a little bit.
Fighting, literally. I hadn't thought about Neil Harris missing Fulham, because when the topic of missing things at Fulham comes up, I naturally just think maybe someone might miss a goal.
Could happen. Happen.
Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I learn from my mistakes, George. So I'll probably go the other way. If anything, I'll probably get into the ground like 2 hours early and like be glued to my seat.
We're sitting next. Well, if we follow our seat numbers, we're sat next to each other. So maybe there's a responsibility on me to ensure that you are in your seat for the full duration of both halves, so you don't miss a thing.
Yeah.
And you'll thank me at full time when we lose 5-0.
You are well used to looking after a toddler, to be fair. So that experience could come in handy on Tuesday night.
Speaking of Neil Harris, should we dissect a couple of points from his presser from yesterday? Look, there's only one headline, isn't there? Louis Appere, hamstring strain. I'm really struggling with my words today. Out for 3 to 4 weeks. Obvious question here, Tom. How big a miss is this going to be?
Yeah, it's a big miss. Probably the highlight of the first bit of the season. I know there's probably a couple of shouts for that in Brophy and some of Kai's performances, but particularly, I guess, right at the start of the season, Appere was the one, wasn't he? And obviously he was in and amongst the goals, and performances were invaluable to what we were doing. So yeah, it is a big miss, and I think we had the discussion after the transfer window shut, and I kind of fell on the side of the fence of like, and a lot of it centered around the I suppose decision or potentially being unable to bring in a replacement for Ryan Loft, or at least bring in a replacement for his body, I suppose. And I sort of felt
not his legend.
That I don't really think that that's too much of an issue, because I don't think we lose too much. by basically being a body down, because I'm not sure the quality of that player was enough to really worry you that they might not be there in this scenario. Like, I don't think that I'd feel better necessarily if we had Ryan Loft in the building compared to now that we don't. But the optics of it aren't great, are they? That, like, the discussion for the last few years has been around, like, we're so short staffed up front. Transfer window shuts 2 weeks later. Bang! How's your hamstring, Louis? Oh shit, it's strained, and he's out. He's out for a month. I suppose the positive here is that it does coincide with Lavery coming back, but you feel like that's very thin ice to be skating on. And then if you are left with just CUFC up front, then panic stations basically. So I'm not sure that I would really envisage or really want to see either Kachunga or Kaikai playing in that sort of role longer term, which is what it would be, let's be honest, if the worst did happen. So I suppose you have the free agent market, but yeah, look, our praise and miss. I think, yeah, I mean, I guess you can kind of, the blow is softened a little bit because I think Kouassi has come on a lot compared to his first little couple of cameos.
That was going to be my follow up. So this opens a window for two names. You've already mentioned both of them, but let's start with Kouassi. Thoughts on him so far and what you've seen. Could this be a good opportunity for him over the next couple of weeks to, get minutes in, play some regular football, because he's not played a lot of football in his career so far. Again, injury track record there, but giving a penalty away aside, it does feel like week on week we are seeing more from him. What's your take on Kouassi's efforts so far?
Yeah, I think I've been increasingly fairly impressed. Obviously, he's still got a little bit of refinement of his game to come, I think. And if that was the case, I think there's probably a good chance that he would have been on the score sheet at Grimsby and wouldn't have given away a penalty. But overall, like, I'll be honest with you, his first couple of cameos, one at Colchester and one at Bristol Rovers, I was a bit like, is this the best we can get? Because they didn't look too convincing. But I think his impact when he came on against Newport, I think his performance against Charlton in the Cup, I appreciate it was a changed Charlton team, but they're still playing one or two of the players that got them into the Championship and have been okay in the Championship so far. So not necessarily as tough and even as it could have been for him, but certainly not an easy one. Looked really good that night. Obviously took his goal really well, looked like a real handful. So yeah, like I said a moment ago, it softens the blow of Apare being injured firstly, but just in terms of his quality as well for the team, he's one that I do think would look better in a two, ironically, because I think that he could maybe do that kind of Joe Ironside role of really taking the hits and being the handful, being the foil almost for somebody else. I don't imagine we're looking to pair him with Lavery just yet, although that might be an option later on, who knows. But yeah, I'm fairly content with Kouassi, but obviously this is all kind of caveated by the idea that disaster could strike at some point, and all of a sudden he's either the one or he's injured, and Lavery's the one, and we kind of know what happens there.
Content is a good mindset. Remember that as I ask you about the next name. It was mentioned in the presser that Kachunga is fit. He was left out for the Grimsby game just due to other options, other names and bodies available to Neil Harris. Took it well, has trained well this week, according to Neil Harris. Sounds to me like he will be in the squad on Saturday at least. Don't want to get dragged too much into throw mud at Kachunga in his name, but this must be seen as an opportunity for him now, right? To potentially get some minutes and, sort of ease some of that tension and stake a claim to be a starter.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of has to be now, right? I think that we've heard a lot of this in previous weeks. I think during pre-season, I think Harris is also on record as saying that he was the best trainer or one of them. And obviously now we're hearing that he's obviously responded really well to being left out of the squad. Fine, but now's the time to deliver. And yeah, like I guess fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, he doesn't have the luxury of being a Kouassi where he can be like, I still got development to come. Like he's young, he's obviously still learning. Like no, he's going to be judged on performances, and presuming he's in the squad, and again presuming that he gets minutes on Saturday against Fleetwood, then yeah, like that's that's what we judged on. Let's be very clear, we haven't seen that so far. We just haven't. And that's something that we're going to need. Like, we need your more experienced players. We need your players who are presumably better paid to stand up and be counted and sort of earn their keep, so to speak. So, yeah, let's see. But proof will be in the pudding, I guess.
Right, final point from the presser. Michael Morrison came through last weekend fine. Seems to have come through this week in training fine as well, and will be available for Saturday. Were you surprised to see him from the start at Grimsby away, and how big is it that he's now back as part of the squad?
I think it's great to have him back. I've got to say, I mean, I'm no doctor, Jord. You know that as well as anyone. But a bruised lung, to me, that sounded like a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised to see him playing football so quickly again, regardless whether it's from the start or coming on at all. But yeah, fair play to him. Like, he's obviously battled through. I would say that, Grimsby aren't the big, rugged 6'4" brutes that they might have been of sort of years gone by. So it's maybe not the game where it's as much of a physical battle as others. I mean, it's a professional football match, right? So it's always athletic. It's always like that to some degree. But you're not going up against John Parkin of old, are you? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, look, great to see him back. I think there's something to be said for having leaders in the squad. I think, as much as we discussed on previous pods, I think probably Harrogate, I think it was after Morrison came off and we sort of bemoaned the lack of leadership. Feels like there probably are players in there who should be leaders, but when you've got your actual captain back, that's always got to be a good thing, I guess. And he's an organiser, and I think his performances during last season were okay, to be honest. And even in a team which was failing, let's be honest. And yeah, it's obviously good to have him back, and it's good that it does provide a bit of a headache for Harris, I suppose. One of those old-fashioned good headaches to have, right? Because if you're leaving a player of Job's ability out of the starting lineup, that tells you that maybe there is more strength there than we thought. And centre back is obviously the one part of the pitch that we've sort of looked at from behind the sofa, really, this season so far. So yeah, to see Morrison back, to see him playing well as well, is a really good thing.
Right then, let's turn our attention to Saturday's opponents. Before Tom and I talk about Fleetwood, I'm going to hand you over to Jack Swindlehurst, who's got our fan preview.
Right then, news fans, it gives me the greatest pleasure to say that we're joined this week by EFL royalty in the ether there, and it's Nappers. Nappers, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, mate. Always enjoy my time coming on here. I must admit, I don't think it's always a great plan to come on here, because every time I normally come on here, we normally lose. So, especially, I think, was it 4 times in one season? I think you beat us home and away in the league, you beat us in the FA Cup as well. And there might have been another, I think, no, it was 3 times, wasn't it? But it felt like it was all together. We played you twice in the space of 6 weeks. And yeah, it was eventful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a shame that Cambridge got relegated, but always good to speak to you, Nappers. So thanks for joining us. Right then, so 8 games into the season, Fleetwood currently sitting 11th, 12 points from those 8 games. How has it been so far this season?
A bit like you, a bit up and down. We've had good moments and we've had bad moments. I think Fleetwood are probably a year on from where Cambridge are. Cambridge are pretty much, I think, where Fleetwood were last year. You get into a minority of League One swallows you up a little bit. You stay in there so long and you survive by the skin of your teeth. You come down. It's about starting to win games of football again. Instead of winning 10 times, you're trying to win 15 times plus. And I think that Fleetwood have done well to kind of do that in the last couple of years. Last year was very mediocre, but it was solid enough. This year, 1.5 points a game. There's been some good signs. Start the season on fire. Won our first 2. Since only 1 win in our last 6, but you could also see we've only lost 2 of our first 8. So it's whatever kind of way you want to spin it. Performances haven't been great, I'll be honest with you. I don't think we've looked brilliant for 90 minutes yet. We're not great to watch, but we often get a point, and sometimes that's holding us back. We're solid enough for a point. We just don't always have the nous to go and get 3 points often enough, and that, I think, could set us back like it did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a draw last time out against Walsall, 1-1 at home. How was that game?
Exactly how I've just described it to you, to be honest with you. It was frustrating. Both sides cancelling each other out. Both sides had a bit of a go. I think there's 2 shots on target each. It was the most draw game you'll ever see in your life. Walsall, to be fair, are a good side at this level. They've only lost twice this year. All the games decided by a goal. They've only conceded, I think, 1 goal in open play before. So that was the second goal that they conceded. And we got a point from it. But often enough over the years, Fleetwood's issue hasn't been picking up points. It's been issue picking up wins at home. 26 wins out of 96 at home. And I think the frustration is where it comes from me is a mentality at times where people go, it's a good point against Walsall. It is, but we never move on from that. And again, Saturday we'll come and we'll get a point away at Cambridge and it'll be deemed as it's a good point away at a side that come down from League One. And then a week later you play Colchester. And then it's the same persona every week pretty much. And for me, yes, points are good against good sides. I think you are definitely one of those. But there's a time where you need to go and get 3 points and be ruthless, and that needs to met to me. You need to be disappointed. You go, yeah, because I'm frustrated. We got a point against Walsall. That's how I want the team and the club to be. So I just don't think we're quite there yet. I think we're maybe a couple of years away from where I'd like to be. But yeah, Saturday was frustrating. But overall, a point and a half a game, it's solid enough.
And is the aim for you this season kind of looking towards playoffs or even promotion?
I think every football fan has to look at that, and every football fan, realistically, of course, will always think that. There's obviously cases for some clubs that just want to survive and just want to, enjoy watching a football team. And Fleetwood are very fortunate. Fleetwood get 2,500 home fans, and we're very fortunate to be where we are. We've got an owner that is willing to subsidise losses and has done over the years, and as does his son. And I'm very grateful for that. I think, again, Fleetwood being in mid-table in League Two is great, but as a fan, you always want that bit of excitement. You want the reason to go to games, and you want that area of belief. And I don't think I've had that for a number of years with Fleetwood, if I'm honest with you. I don't feel like I believed in we're going to do something. It's always been, yeah. And we win 1 in 3. You get a great result of them. The next week, it's back to reality, and you lose 2-0 at home against bottom of the league. Then you'll go and beat top of the league on the Tuesday night. For me, the main aim is better than last year. If I'm going to be picky, I want a better style of football, and I want a more front-footed style of football.
Yeah, fair enough. It would be interesting to see how Cambridge and Fleetwood go at it. So looking ahead to the game then, a couple of players for Fleetwood who Cambridge fans should be looking out for.
Ryan Graydon is definitely one. Ryan Graydon, he's got 2 goals so far, but Ryan Graydon and his performance levels are always up there, but doesn't always get the goals to show from him. And it's not great saying that when he's a centre forward, but he often makes runs in behind. He holds the ball up, he pins defenders, he gets you up the pitch, he wins fouls. He's so good at doing that. And he started to add a couple of goals to his game in the last couple of weeks. I think he's now 2 and 3 for him now, which is good. Back to what he does best. He started last season like a house on fire, struggled in the middle part. So I'd definitely say Ryan Graydon. It's weird because the normal ones I would say all left. Brendan Wiredu, Phoenix Patterson, etc. If I had to give you another one to maybe look out for, I think maybe I'm going to give you a bit of a rogue one. Mark Helm. He's not scored yet this season, but he's one of those players that's got quality, proven it at League One before with Burton Albion. He's put a bit of size on over the summer, and I think that when he gets one, I think he can go and get 7 or 8 goals from midfield. I think we all know about players. I think your support base, James Brophy, he doesn't score in years, and he's got about 6 in the last kind of 5 months. So I think that Mark Helm will definitely start scoring goals, hopefully this weekend.
Well, yeah, hopefully not for Cambridge, but talk to us a little bit about how Fleetwood might set up then and the style of play we can expect from Fleetwood.
That's a good question there, because a lot of the time I ask myself what's our way of playing and what style are we playing, because it's very mixed at times. I think 3-5-2, be organised, ABC, hard to break down, resolute, good shape about us, break us down if you can, hit you on the counter attack with what we've got, try and get a long ball in behind or slip balls down to the side with our wing backs to get crossed into the box. A lot of the time, we're better away from home at it. We're playing a back 3 at home. It's very tough. Away from home, it allows you to play a little bit more and get up the pitch, whereas at home we struggled. So I think away from home you'll see a bit more of a flary Fleetwood, a bit more on the front foot Fleetwood, and less pressure. So yeah, 3-5-2, and it definitely will be a front two, maybe Helming behind a front two, or you could have a Jordan Davis there, and Bond will definitely be in the midfield as well. He's been an absolute brick wall for us. But yeah, 3 old school centre halves, head and kick it away from the goal and try and get Fleetwood up the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how the teams match up against each other. So just before we go, Nappers, we always ask the guests for a match prediction and a score prediction. How do you think it's going to go on Saturday?
Well, for the first time in 7 years, by choice, I'm not going to the game on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Other things coming up, and it would have been my 500th Fleetwood game on Saturday, but I'm saving that for another week. So with me not going, and normally when I don't go, we've got not so bad record when I don't go over the last few years. I think I might actually be, if we win on Saturday, I might not go all season when I get promoted. I'm going to be positive. I never normally go for Fleetwood victories on other teams' podcasts. I'm going to be a bit different today. I've moaned about us all week, and normally when you have a little bit of a moan, something pops up out of nowhere. I'm going to go 1-0, which I think will be frustrating for you because obviously you lost 1-0, I think, last time out at home to Oldham. I'm going to go for 1-0. I'm going to go for Mark Helm to score. I think that's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, you've heard it here first, Hughes fans. The Oracle has spoken. I'm sure that's going to come true now, especially with you not coming to the game, Nappers. But listen, thanks for joining us. It's been brilliant.
Thank you very much for having me, mate.
There we are then. Thank you very much, Swindle, and thank you very much, Nappers. Tom, I'm going to take you back quickly to 5 p.m. on the 26th of April, full time at Burton away. You turned to me and you said, "Don't worry, Jordan. At least in League Two, we'll see Nappers again."
And that is the real quiz. That really is the real quiz. And he's back. And what a man. And we all feel much better for it, I'd say, Jordan.
He can't make it on Saturday. His new job is got him tied down, so he can't make a trip to the Abbey.
Get a new job.
And I know that he loves coming to the Abbey, but
he loves coming to the Abbey and interviewing you specifically, but positioning himself and the camera in a way which makes you look absolutely tiny.
Well, I am pretty sure. I will caveat
Oh yeah,
that.
but come on.
That's the thing about doing an interview on the common outside the Habin there. Lots of sort of like ditches and hills and so forth. So yeah, it's all a trick of the angles. Some interesting intel from Nappers. Obviously, they're another team that are hard to break down. They've drawn quite a few of their games. A couple of names in midfield that he reckons we should keep an eye on, and Graydon up front is another one that he thinks could be influential. Could be influential on Saturday. So just going back to Nappers, Swindle told me that if he had come to the Abbey on Saturday, that would have been his 500th Fleetwood game. So he doesn't want that anniversary to happen at the Cladara, which is shocking. I think I've changed my mind on him. But anyway, back to Fleetwood. Another tough team to break down. Okay, going forward. How are you ranking this in terms of difficulty and toughest home games that we've had so far? Do you think that'll still be Oldham, or do you think this on Saturday will be probably the hardest and closest game that we've seen at the Abbey so far this season?
I think just mention of the word Oldham just makes you feel like you're in for a bit of a challenge. I don't know why, just the way it sounds. Maybe it's what I know about Oldham. But yeah, I think it's really similar to that. I would say that in terms of like individual quality, or in terms of like players that you recognise, Fleetwood are probably a touch better going forward than Oldham were. But yeah, it's probably a similar challenge realistically. Obviously, the difference is that Oldham maybe hadn't quite picked up the results that Fleetwood have so far when we played them. So I guess on paper, if you want to look at it like that, obviously you mentioned it right at the top of the pod. It's the first time we played a team that are above us in the league, and that's obviously a different challenge. But yeah, I think it's probably more of the same, isn't it? The onus is going to be on us to break them down. And frankly, I think as with most teams that will play in this league, maybe there's the odd exception. I just think we have on paper more quality, and if we can click and if we can make it work, then we should really be looking at 3 points here.
What's your gut saying about how we can be successful on Saturday and touching on the lineup there? Do you think we break this team down by sticking with the 4-2-3-1, or would you be tempted to roll a dice and play maybe two up top from the start?
I'll be interested to see how that would look, to be honest. To go two up, because I don't believe we would go with Lavery and Kwasi from the start as that option just yet. Certainly not without another proper out and out recognised striker on the bench, which obviously we're not going to have because obviously Perry's missing. I would like to see us playing 4-4-2 in some way, but I think at the moment that probably looks like Kouassi and Kachunga or Kai there. Which I suppose now, to be fair, now we've got Mayer. Maybe it's more of an option to have Kaiko playing down the middle, and that might be a good option. And then you've got Brophy, Kai and Mayer behind Kouassi, and Kaiko maybe pushing on as a second striker. So that might be a good option. But yeah, I think we need to find a way of creating more chances. That's for sure. I think although we've looked resolute at the back, and there's been some games that we've dominated the ball, we've routinely struggled to do enough with it. So yeah, it's basically how do you do that, I guess. And I suppose the answer is, do you basically put another out and out attack on the pitch and make it a 4-4-2 and give them something else to think about, or do you maybe toy around with the personnel and try and tweak with that?
Yeah, I think the biggest question for me going into Saturday is who plays in that 10/9.5 role. Does Kai keep that place from Saturday? Like you say, can play central. Does Ben Knight maybe get the nod, sort of bring him back into the fold, see if he can pull the strings? Kachunga's the other option. So I think that'll be the real selection headache that's probably going through Neil Harris's mind at the moment. Other than that, Tom, looking at the starting 11 from Saturday against Grimsby, it's hard to make an argument to change many other names. Perhaps Gibbons and Bennett might swap because, we're at home and we might want to try and take the game to Fleetwood a little bit more, and Bennett brings that attacking options. Ruddock maybe might drop out. Hard to see many changes though, Tom. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree. I think even the ones that you just mentioned there, I think you can probably make a case for Bennett coming back into the team. So I think he is probably better going forward than Gibbons is. So that's probably a fair shout. Don't see us dropping Pelly Ruddock, to be honest. I know we might not have seen it yet, but I think let's be very clear. He probably is our best player in terms of pure ability. He's probably our highest paid player. They don't tend to get dropped that often. So I think we'll probably continue with him. So yeah, I think probably you're right. It's how do we replace a Perry? And I think probably what we might see is basically what I suggested earlier, and that might just be Kai going a little bit more central, and yeah, that's probably about it. So I don't think we really can change too much more than that. I don't really see much reason why you would either.
Yeah, I've just assumed that Kouassi starts. I'm not entertaining a world where they risk Lavery from the start, or even playing Kachunga up front on his own. Right, let's wrap it up then. Score prediction for Saturday, Tom. What are you going with?
I think we should have enough. I think it'll be quite a tight game. I think we'll nick it 1-0, to be honest. I'd like to think our quality will show through. I mentioned that we'd like to see a statement performance, but yeah, I think that's asking a lot against a Fleetwood team. I think are probably pretty decent or pretty okay, really. Good operators. But yeah, I think we should have enough. Let's go with the 1-0 win. Because do you know what? It'd be great to see one of Kouassi or Lavery get a winner. That'd be a great afternoon, I think.
I'm with you. I think it's going to be a reverting to type, as it were. Home game, very tight, difficult team to break down. 1 goal in it. I'm not 100% sure we keep the clean sheet. I'm going to go 2-1 United.
No platform.
No platform.
That is a shame.
Platform denied. Speaking of platforms, Substack is a good platform.
That's great.
if you join. If you join our coconut tier for a mere £5 a month, you will get exclusive content every week. It's normally in the shape of a written article, but we do some extra pods on there. Tom, are we all right to maybe tease the special pod that you and Julian recorded earlier in the week?
Yeah, please do.
You tease it because you you were part of the art.
Yeah, of course. So the freeloaders are going to get a snippet after the Fleetwood game of a preview for the Fulham pod, which we recorded with one Marcus Speller of the Football Ramble. Probably there'll be a decent crossover of people who listen to us and also listen to the Football Ramble, because if you're a football fan and you listen to podcasts, that frankly should be probably top of your list, with all apologies to Max Rushton, who obviously presents another excellent football podcast as well. But Marcus is great. He's a Fulham fan. Then we recorded a slightly longer episode, which will be for the Nutters of the Coconuts here. A little bit of England chat. You know, he's a big international fan, as am I, as is Julian. And a little bit of chat about the Ramble and a slightly extended version, basically. So well worth signing up for. Really glad that he came on. So thanks again to him for his time. You'll hear a little bit of that on Sunday on Monday if you're a freeloader, and if you're a nutter, you'll get a little bit more straight to your inbox.
Oh, Tom, we went so close to not dishing up any level of insulting comment to listeners.
Fuck
so
that.
close.
No. Come on. Look,
Stop now before you get into Caspel territory. Look, I'm going to end the record. You have got me excited for that special pod. Can't wait. Can't wait to get to the Old Spring for a Skepasti too. So check them out. We'll be back on Monday with our review show. Tom, you wanted to finish in good time so you could head out. It is Friday night after all. So thank you for your time. I'll see you Saturday, mate.
Yeah, we'll do. I do have to get going because it's nearly Saturday, you know.